Have you ever wondered what it feels like to lose everything overnight? For millions of people throughout history, this hasn't been a hypothetical question. It's been a devastating reality. From the tulip mania of the 17th century to the global crisis of 2008, financial collapses have a way of shaking societies to their core. But are these just random, unlucky events? Or is there a pattern, a predictable cycle of boom and bust that we keep repeating? Today, we're going to travel back in time to explore some of the most spectacular financial meltdowns in history. We'll uncover the common threads of greed, fear, and sheer human folly that tie them all together. And by the end, you might just look at the world of finance a little differently. Let's start our journey in the Dutch Golden Age, the 1630s. The Netherlands was a global superpower, and its people were obsessed with something beautiful and seemingly harmless: tulips. These weren't your average garden variety flowers. Rare, exotic tulip bulbs became the ultimate status symbol. Prices began to climb, and soon, everyone wanted in on the action. People sold their homes, their land, their life savings, all to invest in a single bulb. Aureus Emperor Augustus bulb was reportedly sold for the price of a grand Amsterdam townhouse. It was a classic speculative bubble. The belief that prices would only go up fueled the frenzy. But in the winter of 1637, the music stopped. A few savvy investors started to cash out, and suddenly, panic set in. The market collapsed almost overnight. Bulb prices plummeted by over 90%. Fortunes were wiped out, and countless people were left with nothing but worthless flowers. Tulip mania became the first well-documented speculative bubble in history. A cautionary tale about what happens when hype overtakes reason. Fast forward about a century to 1720, and we find two eerily similar stories unfolding in Britain and France. In Britain, it was the South Sea Company. The company was granted a monopoly on trade with South America, and it concocted a brilliant scheme to take over Britain's national debt. The public went wild. Stock prices for the South Sea Company soared, increasing by nearly tenfold in just a few months. Everyone from aristocrats to servants poured their money in, convinced they were on the fast track to riches. Even Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest minds in history, got caught up in the mania. He invested early, sold for a handsome profit, but then, driven by FOMO, fear of missing out, he jumped back in at the peak, ultimately losing a fortune. Meanwhile, across the Channel in France, a Scottish financier named John Law was running a similar scheme with the Mississippi Company. He promised investors untold wealth from France's colonies in North America. The result was the same: a massive bubble, followed by a catastrophic crash. Both the South Sea bubble and the Mississippi bubble left a trail of financial ruin and taught Europe a harsh lesson about the dangers of government-backed speculation and mob psychology. Now, let's jump to the Roaring '20s in America. It was an era of jazz, flappers, and unprecedented economic prosperity. The stock market seemed like a one-way ticket to wealth. People were borrowing money like never before to buy stocks, a practice known as buying on margin. It was a house of cards built on debt and overconfidence. On October 29, 1929, forever known as Black Tuesday, the house came crashing down. The stock market collapsed, triggering the most severe economic downturn in modern history. The Great Depression. Millions lost their jobs, their homes, and their savings. Banks failed, businesses shuttered, and breadlines became a common sight. The Great Depression wasn't just an American crisis. It spread across the globe, leading to widespread poverty and social unrest. It exposed the deep flaws in the financial system and led to major reforms like the creation of the SEC to regulate markets, and FDIC to ensure bank deposits policies designed to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again. But of course, it did happen again, just in a different form. Our final stop is the year 2008. This time, the bubble wasn't in tulips or exotic trading companies, but in the American housing market. For years, home prices had been steadily rising. Lenders, driven by profit, handed out risky subprime mortgages to people who couldn't really afford them. These toxic loans were then packaged together into complex financial instruments called mortgage-backed securities and sold to investors all over the world. Everyone thought they were safe, believing that housing prices would never fall nationwide. They were wrong. In 2007, the housing bubble burst. Homeowners began defaulting on their loans in record numbers. The value of those mortgage-backed securities plummeted, and major financial institutions that were heavily invested in them, like Lehman Brothers, found themselves on the brink of collapse. The failure of Lehman Brothers in September 2008 sent shockwaves through the global financial system, freezing credit markets and triggering a worldwide recession. Governments had to step in with massive bailouts to prevent a total meltdown, but the damage was done. Millions lost their homes and jobs in what became known as the Great Recession. So, what have we learned from this trip through financial history? From tulip bulbs to subprime mortgages, the details change, but the core elements remain stubbornly the same. It starts with a new, exciting opportunity, a new paradigm, where the old rules of value supposedly don't apply. This creates a wave of optimism and easy credit, fueling a speculative frenzy. People get swept up in the herd mentality, driven by greed and the fear of missing out. Then, at some point, reality sets in. A few people start to question the sky-high valuations. Panic replaces greed, and everyone rushes for the exit at once. The bubble bursts, and the crash follows, leaving behind a wake of economic destruction. These events aren't just numbers on a chart. They represent real human suffering, lost dreams, and shattered lives. They remind us that markets are driven by human emotions, and as long as we have greed and fear, we will likely have booms and busts. The key is to learn from the past, to be skeptical when things seem too good to be true, and to remember that there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme that doesn't involve incredible risk. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but it often rhymes. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the history of financial collapses. I hope it gave you some food for thought. What do you think is the biggest lesson we can learn from these events? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this video interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating topics. Until next time, stay curious.